How do we stay relevant? How do we stay in business? We have a team. So we have people that work for us. They have families, they have dreams, they have aspirations.
Mm.
How do I continue to support them so that they
Yep.
can, achieve their potential? That has an impact on profitability as well because you can't invest in, 100 ideas or 10 ideas. Sometimes you could do one, which means that you have to choose. And mindset, how you look at things. Does that mean I'm doing poorly? Am I going backwards? Or my mindset is like to sell more cakes, and you don't need a queue for cakes. Who we want to be, and I think that's one of the hardest for emerging business or for new business is to find its identity and to stick to its identity.
Running a business can feel lonely, especially when the decisions get heavy. Welcome to CEO Whisperer by Saurabh Jain. Practical insights from the boardroom and the meditation cushion. I'm Saurabh. I've done 10,000 hours in 3 major parts of my life. I've spent 10,000 hours being a CEO, 10,000 hours being a board member, and 10,000 hours meditating. What we're going to do in each episode is really unpack a real business challenge that a CEO is facing and see if we can work through it together. Enjoy. Hi, g'day guys. Welcome to another episode of CEO Whisperer. Today I've got Kenneth from Lily Ice Cream. Do you want to tell us a bit about yourself?
Sure. Thank you, Saurabh. Thanks for the opportunity to be here. So my name is Kenny, and we are in the ice cream business. We make people happy. We manufacture our own ice cream. We have a shop in Chatswood, and we do a lot of contract manufacturing as well.
Yep, perfect. So the way this works is we pick a problem that you have, we kind of workshop that together. So what's top of mind? What's something that you need to solve or you're trying to solve in your business?
Saurabh, I had to think about this on the way here, and since you told me that this is happening, and I think, it's very topical now to talk about profitability because of what's going on in the world, unpredictability, cost is rising, interest rate is rising, people have less money. But how do we stay relevant? How do we stay in business?
Yeah. How do you make sure that you keep making money, I guess?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
not just making money. How do we have a team. So we have people that work for us. They have families, they have dreams, they have aspirations.
Mm.
How do I continue to support them so that they
Yep.
can, achieve their potential?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But it's really about how do you make the company make money, right? So they can support them and keep paying them and those kind of things.
Essentially, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So it's profitability, right? Give us some background. How did you get into the ice cream game? How,
So,
how, how did that happen?
I am an IT guy by trade. I went to uni, I
Mhm.
studied software engineering, and I did 20 years of IT.
Yeah.
On the side, I've always wanted to run my own business. There was an opportunity in early days to buy an ice cream shop. Went into ice cream.
And sorry, help me understand. So how do you go from wanting to run a business to picking ice cream as your industry? How did you make that jump?
I always had a plan. I always had a plan to be self employed
Hmm.
by a certain stage in my life. When we were ready for that plan, COVID came, so we couldn't do anything. It was always part of the plan to
Hmm.
do ice cream. Yeah.
But I mean, so I get the self-employed, but why ice cream? What made you pick
So
that?
ice cream makes people happy.
Do you like a lot of ice cream yourself? Do you eat a lot of
Yeah.
ice cream?
I love the fact that ice cream connects people.
Yeah.
Over a Sunday, over a scoop. There is so much variety, yet
Yeah.
no one's can agree on one flavor. It's just such an interesting space.
Okay. So you like the social aspect of ice cream.
Yeah,
Did you have a look at the economics of it as well before you got in?
yeah, yeah. We did, and raw ingredients were really cheap. The process is tricky. It can be complex. But yeah, it was a highly marginal, highly profitable business.
And did you pick ice cream first, then do the financial model, or do the financial model first and look at 10 different industries and pick ice cream?
Yeah, I think it happened at the same time. Sometimes life offers you opportunities and an option. And when we got into ice cream, that was one of the few options that were available.
Okay, for you, what were some of the other things you looked at that you ended up turning down?
Bubble tea?
Bubble tea? Oh, yeah,
Oh,
bubble tea. I
yeah.
drink bubble tea, yeah.
Bubble tea?
Yeah.
What else? I almost got into towels.
Into what, sorry?
Towels.
Oh, towels, okay, yeah.
Towels, like, floor
Oh,
towels.
floor tiles, okay.
Yeah, yeah. But
Mm.
it didn't go through.
Yeah, okay. So, I mean, sometimes these things are just a bit of luck, right? You
Yes.
find the right thing
Timing in place.
that kind of works and you happen to be in the right mind space. I get you want to run your own business, but food's hard, right?
It's super hard.
Like food spoils,
Yeah.
especially ice cream spoils very, very quickly. Like, well, why take on such a complex challenge? Why not something more tech related, like, I don't know, be an IT consulting company or build an app or something? Why do something so different?
It's a good question. So You're right. Australians are very discerning with their taste, and food is very hard in Australia. We are a country of many people from different culture, with different taste buds and their taste requirements. We're not as singular as some places, but food is really exciting as well. And because of that, we have great food combination. We're not just a vanilla, chocolate, strawberry sort of company or country. We make amazing flavors. You could add Greek flavors into ice cream and sell it to Asian people
Yeah.
or non-Greek people. And I think that's amazing that you can do that in this country.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what? So you were in tech for 20 years.
Yeah.
Like you've built a whole bunch of competencies.
Yeah.
Which of those competencies then transferred over to retail ice cream?
Yeah. So in my 20 years, I had many roles in IT. I started off as in customer success. And I slowly found myself in sales, IT in software sales. And ultimately the transferable skill is to know what people want.
So it's the sales side of things that kind of.
Yeah.
So I guess you are doing face-to-face sales in ice cream stores, right?
Yeah, as well. Yes, yes, yes. Getting to know what people want, getting them to understand what they need versus what they want. That's a skill that can cut across all industries.
Okay. And how long have you been doing the ice cream game for?
We started in 2011.
Yeah.
So this would be my 14th, 15th.
14th year. Oh my God, it's a very long time. Okay, so 15 years. Because you did both for a little while as well, didn't you?
Correct. For a period of time, I was doing both. Yes.
Yeah. And I know originally you had a franchise brand, but then you made your own brand. How long have you had your own brand for?
I've had my own brand now for about 6 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
You should give it a plug if you want.
Yeah. Well, it's Gelato Bliss, and the shop is called Lily Ice Cream.
Yep.
Yeah.
In Chatswood.
In Chatswood.
Yeah.
Yes.
And how's the profitability been over those, say, 14 years or 6 years, whatever timescale you want to look?
Profitability has been very challenging after COVID.
Was it challenging at the start as well, or just now?
Initially, it was so when we first were in the franchise brand, we were the first store that opened up in the country, the first franchise store. So there was a lot of goodwill. There was a lot of people that were working with us
From the franchise store.
from the franchise
Okay,
store.
yeah.
That brand evolved and became more of a mainstay. So we decided to come out and establish our own brand.
Yeah. So how was profitability at the start? Has it always been difficult, or was it easier at the start with all this extra support?
Profitability has always been. It's a very hard question to answer. Ice cream can be seasonal. So profitability could be really good some parts of the year and extremely challenging at other parts of the year.
But I mean, I guess your cost base exists for 12 months a year, but over like a 12-month period, what was profitability like at the start? Was it any easier, as in like 2011, 2012, 2013? Was it better or worse than now? I'm trying to get a trajectory.
Yeah, so it's more complex now. Yeah, okay. So when we first started in 2011, cost was quite simple. Your P&L had maybe 4 or 5 different accounts. It was largely the cost of goods, followed by your labor, followed by insurance, and then all your ancillaries. Now there's a lot more. There's a lot more to consider. There's marketing, there's social media.
Oh, because now you've got your own brand, right?
Yeah.
Like, just pay a franchise fee and someone else does that for you.
That's right.
Or otherwise, if you look at, so when did COVID end? About 4 years ago now? 3 years?
Yeah. Almost 4 years.
So after COVID, how was profitability then versus now? Harder or getting easier?
After COVID was relatively easy.
Everyone's out about, they want to go spend money
again. There was a lot of demand. There were a lot of new brands and people wanted to try, wanted to experiment. So that was really good. Then we saw inflation went up. And obviously with that came increased interest rates. And that played a part in the discretionary spending.
So you saw revenue fall then, did you? Or?
Revenue, we worked hard and we kept our revenue by being organic and by acquiring other companies. And so we maintain our revenue. But obviously costs have gone up for us.
Okay, sure. Okay, fair enough. And how's it now? Is over the last kind of 6-12 months, interest rates back up again, inflation, don't know, probably going on the up anyway?
Yeah, I think we had a really difficult summer. So summer was particularly hard.
Well, what made summer difficult? Because shouldn't summer be your
we had
best season?
We had a really warm summer, but a really stormy summer as well, and it just talks to the industry.
Oh, when it rains, people don't go out and eat ice cream.
Yeah. It's really interesting that when it rains, people don't go out, and when they don't go out, they don't walk on the streets. They don't
spend.
They don't spend.
Yeah.
So we had really hot days, and that kept people away, and then we had really stormy days, and that kept people away as well. And in ice cream, you need people to be walking and having enjoying the good weather.
Going past your shop and just
That's
wanting to
right.
pop in.
Yeah.
Okay. And is this a challenge that all ice cream companies have right now in terms of profitability?
And that's another challenge in the industry. We don't have enough. We don't have a community that talk about this. But I would say in
If you were to
general,
guess.
retail is a bit is challenging. There are some parts of retail that are doing well. But in my work and because we do distribution as well and wholesale, we're seeing a general neutral outlook to the whole economy.
By retail, you mean specifically like small footprint for food retail?
Yeah,
Yeah.
food services. Yeah,
So has anyone really solved this then in your industry? Is anyone doing really well, making lots of money?
I don't know exactly, but I can see there are brands that are doing really well. We have seen some new players in the market who with queues out the door every night. It's very hard to know if they are making money. Yeah.
Because if you have a queue out the door, at least you got revenue coming through, right?
That's right.
You've
Yeah.
got a better
Yeah.
chance. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I've been to those stores. What's that one in Darling Harbour? I can't remember their name.
Yeah.
But Messina was the one a couple of years ago. You'd line up for 20 minutes just to get some ice cream.
That's right. Right.
And that's completely normal.
And that's one of the changes in the industry is where previously you would have one or two ice cream shops in a precinct. Now you have easily 6, 7 um, uh, ice cream shops plus acai stores, bubble tea stores, and they're all competing for the same dollar. Yeah.
Why do people line outside like the Messinas or so? What's that one in Darling Harbour called? I can't remember. What the one in Barangaroo?
And
It's the-
Yochi.
Yeah, no, Yochi's the yogurt one.
Yeah.
And there's another one there. But yeah, Riviano.
Yes.
So what do people line outside your stores like that as well?
We used to have a line out the door. We don't have that now.
So you used to have lines out the door?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We used to be really busy, and we are still busy. We're just not having that line out the door. Yeah.
But I feel like other ice cream stores are, right? They still have the lines out the door.
In the right place, I
Yeah.
feel like in some brands they do have lines out the door.
So is it a case there when you had a line of, I don't know, 5 people, they had a line of 10 people? Or is it that you've got 0, they've got 5? Or is it that, I'm trying to figure out, has the proportion changed or number of people changed or both?
I think because of the variety of selection,
Well, the variety would have existed a year ago, right?
Yeah,
It existed
correct.
5. So I don't think that would affect it because that's always been there.
No. So there were a lot of new. We're referring to retail here.
Yeah.
Yes, and I can talk about Chatswood because that's where we operate. In the space of last 12 months, there has been easily 3, 4 more ice cream shops.
Oh, okay. Wow. Okay.
So that really plays a part in spreading the queue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because people now line up in different areas.
That's right. It's ice cream used to be you would only have 1 or 2 stores in a precinct. It's in my 15 years in Chatswood, I've never seen six ice cream shops in Chatswood. Yeah.
Yeah, no, fair enough. And I guess that only kind of works. Well, you only do well out of that if number of people eating ice cream increases.
Yeah.
But it probably isn't really increasing. I'm guessing it probably is the same or somewhat marginally increasing.
So people are having ice cream. Yeah, our volume I don't think has changed much. So I think people are still interested. When you walk on the street, there customers people are still having ice cream. They're having desserts. So it's not that they're having less products. I think just that the area hasn't changed. The population hasn't changed much, but there's more selections now.
And is your brand differentiated against the other 5 or 6 in your precinct? That people think, I'm not going to have Lily ice cream versus whatever the other brands are?
Yeah, and this is a bright spot for the business, and we do differentiate. We are the ice cream shop, the only ice cream shop that offers a crepe. So we have our own recipe with crepes. We put ice cream on crepes. That's something that you cannot get in Chatswood. But another differentiator with us is we make ice cream cakes, and none of the ice cream shops in Chatswood make ice cream cakes. And ice cream cakes is a growth segment for us.
But I guess that's not enough differentiator to get people to line outside your stores and not others yet.
It hasn't on some nights, cold nights especially, crepes do it particularly well.
Okay. I mean, the problem's going to be, let's just say there's $1 million worth of revenue.
Yes.
In a market. Yeah. When there's 6 people in that market, it's harder to compete when there's 1, right?
And that's a good point, Saurabh, because you're absolutely right. The $1 million is not going to suddenly become 6 million overnight, so that there is enough to go around. So everyone has to share the pie essentially.
And the problem's going to be is that every year there will just be a different competitor. Remember, like 5 years ago, there was like probably 4 yogurt shops in that area.
Yes.
And then one by one, they all disappeared.
Yeah.
And there were bubble tea places.
Yes.
They were like in every street corner. They all disappeared, and one or two kind of survived. Maybe the same is happening now for your ice cream place. Now they've got 6 competitors, and it's who can kind of last until only 1 or 2 are left.
Yeah, and food it's not something unique to ice cream. It happens across all businesses, and especially in food. When a segment is doing well, there will be
more people.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's generally whenever anybody makes a really good economic gain,
Yes.
that attracts competitors.
And the first starter has
and they've got a couple of years to kind of make whatever money.
Yes.
But once it's known there's a good economic gain out of this, the money goes out of it.
Oh, I think because of cost, the margin hasn't changed.
Cost is a problem because you can't increase your price because you've got competitors setting your price. Like you can't charge $10 a scoop if everyone else charges $7, right?
Absolutely.
And you're like a double whammy because you can't charge more. Everybody's costs are going up, and your revenue is challenged because there's just more people trying to vie for the same dollar.
Yeah, I think that you summarized that quite well. Yeah,
that sucks.
Well, that's why you have to differentiate by introducing new products, new menu, offer something that you can't get in the same shop. Yeah.
And I can kind of see why you go down that route. You're like, okay, now my core product is not attracting enough people to keep me in business. So you got 2 options, right? How do I enhance my core product? Which is what, Messina do or Riviera do, right? They just say we have the best ice cream ever and they have all different flavors and they have better ingredients or whatever it is. Or you try to offer more products. Offering more products is the easier way because you don't have to chase that 1% of improvement. You can just buy a crepe machine, buy a better coffee machine, have different types of waffle cones. That's a very, very easy thing to do. But I wonder if that's the succeeding method.
I don't know. And I think sorry.
So the analogy I'll give is Starbucks, right?
Yeah.
So Starbucks didn't really work here in Australia, right?
For many years. Yeah.
For many years. I think they've got maybe a dozen odd stores now or something. Like you kind of see them in the city, a couple other places. But because they wanted to offer something for every single segment. And coffee is like a really high quality thing, which is kind of, if you want to make a really good coffee, you have to be skilled.
Yeah.
And the machine has to be good and perfect for that kind of bean and whatnot as well. So then they try to offer something to everybody, then the product on average was just not as good. And I wonder if it's the same for ice cream.
Not everyone goes out and look for that special dish or that special flavor. Some people just look for very simple, like, just to have an option.
I guess you've got different segments, right? You got some people that were going to have ice cream anyway. They're with their kids, so they just find the closest shop that's easy enough. Me personally, like I probably wouldn't, if I was by myself, I wouldn't buy ice cream. But if I was next to a Messina, I would buy an ice cream. If I was next to Riviera, I would buy an ice cream. So I know that their product is really, really good. So maybe there's different segments of your clientele. And I wonder if you're hitting each of those segments.
Hitting each of those segments. No, I can't answer that question, actually. I don't know the data behind that.
And you used to sell data software, right?
Yeah.
It's
really hard to get information about that. Yeah. But you brought up a really good point about who we want to be. And I think that's one of the hardest for an emerging business, for a new business, is to find its identity and to stick to its identity.
Yeah. The other way I'd say it is my experience has been in like smaller businesses, like quality rules all.
Yeah.
Everything else is secondary. But if you have a really good quality product, you'll probably do okay.
Yes.
When you have more products, right? When you have more things, it's just harder to have quality in that first product.
Yes.
Because your mind space will be on crepes, will be on the wholesale business, will be on the waffle cones, will be on the coffee machine.
Yes.
So you've only got 1/5 of your time now to focus on whatever that core product is.
Yeah. And this is where I think you're absolutely right, Saurabh, that we don't struggle with it, but it's spreading my load. It's stretching me to work on that.
It divides your attention.
It divides my attention, yes. And that's where you bring people on board, to help you, because, ultimately you need a team to help you. Even if you had top quality product, you still need to source the product. You still need to make sure that the pricing is competitive and you're able to sell it for profit. You still need people to help you find locations for your shops. So you still need people. It's you're not just because you have a top-notch quality product, and we see that with a lot of chefs where they make a really good product, but they struggle to run a business because they thought the product would and come would bring people in.
I agree. I mean,
Yeah,
even if you have a great product, you've only got a 50% chance of success, right? Because you got
yeah,
to make all these other things come together.
yeah.
But if your product is not amazing and people aren't lining up outside the door, you've got a much lower chance of success.
I disagree. I
Yeah, tell me
disagree with
why.
that thought because I feel that, like I said before, everyone has, those Australians have discerning taste. They understand value. Not all of them are out looking. They eat the best steak or the Wagyu steak every night. Sometimes they want a variety. And
Mac is busy as well, right? Yeah.
yeah. I know that's Macca's has its serves its own purpose, right? And you're absolutely right. We're not a population of Wagyu
Hmm.
or Wagyu eaters. Some of us prefer a simple meal. Some people
Does that
like it.
translate to a discretionary luxury good like ice cream? I get for like,
Yeah.
main meals it does.
Yes.
Like sometimes I eat cheap, sometimes I eat fancy, right?
Yes.
Depending on what my mood is, how much time I have.
Yes.
Does that translate to ice cream?
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Because not every ice cream shops make their own ice cream, and that's why we exist as well. We make ice cream for others. Not everyone are looking. They want the best value ingredients in their product, but they perhaps not have the budget for the best ingredient possible. So I believe that there is a product for different segment
I don't
as well.
know. And again, I'm not the ice cream guy you are, but
Yeah.
my guess would be there's only one segment when it comes to pricing
Yes.
that all six of those shops charge within 10% of each other.
Yes.
Is that fair to say?
I would say so. Yes.
So that's different to like, steaks, right? You'll have a $100 steak, $50 steak, a $10 steak,
Okay. Okay.
and you'll have like your $5 Macca's burger.
Yeah.
So they're all absolutely stratified from price, and that's how they select what customer will go there, not versus another.
Mm.
But if all your prices are the same within 10%, um, doesn't quality and location obviously matter, but doesn't quality rule there? Wouldn't everybody
It
want
plays a
best?
part. No, I get where you're
Yeah.
coming from, but I wouldn't say quality is the end all be all. It's
Mm.
not the only thing that drives decision making. I think, like I mentioned before, that there's a question of variety as well. You may have the best quality product, but you may not have the flavor that the discerning
Yep.
customer wants.
You've only got your dozen flavors. Someone wants something else. Yep.
Likewise, yeah. So you have businesses that maybe specialize in certain areas and certain tastes that may not suit what the customer is looking for. So even though the prices are the same, it doesn't mean that the quality or in fact the way you make it is the same.
Yeah.
There's obviously if you brought up the Macca's example. If the price of burgers for Macca's and for KFC and or Portos largely the same,
They're all the same. Yep.
right?
Yep.
Why would one choose something from the other? It's because Oporto's has chili sauce and KFC has really good crispy chicken.
Yep.
And Macca's have really good chips. I mean, it doesn't mean that you would avoid Macca's burgers because you like the chips. Whilst you're there, you have the burger.
Yeah. So I hear you.
Yeah.
Well, I guess one last push to that point. But if I think about whenever I bought ice cream, it's
Yeah.
always like if I go to Cow and Moon, my wife loves the avocado flavor.
Yes.
That's enough. So whenever we eat near Newtown, we always go there.
Yes.
Like we'll drive, we'll
Yeah.
fight over parking for an hour.
Yeah.
And we'll go and we'll line up for 10 minutes and we'll get our ice cream.
Yes.
How do you get that to happen to you? Because often I think it's about the top line.
If top line,
As in it's about revenue. Like profitability, it's easier to solve cost. Like you can just get cheaper stuff, right?
Yeah.
Have lower quality stuff. It's much harder to solve revenue.
Yes.
But if you solve, but if it
yes.
solves revenue, that actually solves many of the other problems.
Yeah.
Because you have enough revenue, you don't have to worry about your cost as much. You can have high better quality. It can be a quite virtuous cycle.
Yeah. Okay.
How do you get a line out the door of your ice cream shop?
How do I get a line out of my ice cream shop? It will help
want people
with stores.
How many? Oh, you got 6 competitors, right? But
Yeah.
but despite them,
Despite that, I think telling a story, I think buyers are really interested in the story. And Cow and Moon has a really good story that the owners are multi-award winners. They've been in the business a long time. They know what they're doing. and they offer a really good product. The story resonates when you go to Newtown. So, for me, I need to build that story in my business as well, and that I suppose is something that needs to happen.
Yeah. I don't know the cow moon story. I just know their ice cream tastes good.
Yeah.
And my wife likes it.
Okay.
Similar to like Messina, similar to the other ones. I don't know. I just think the product matters so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
If it's addictive
So what you're
enough,
saying is quality drives profitability.
I think quality rules all. That's
Rules all.
rules all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if you had an ice cream flavor that was so amazing, I know the best. I know you do like Hokkaido milk,
Yeah.
kind of from Japan or something.
Yeah.
If you had the best Hokkaido milk ice cream, what flavor is that? Vanilla? What flavor would that be?
That would be just Hokkaido milk.
Hokkaido flavor.
It's just a milk based.
So if you had like the best ice cream of that quality and then the best chocolate and 5 other flavors.
The queue started when we first started the business because of Hokkaido, because we were the only guys who were able to bring Japanese milk and use Japanese milk in our production, and we were well known for that. But I feel like you can't have Hokkaido milk all the time. Yeah, and I feel like that's something we had to evolve as a business.
So I agree you can't have Hokkaido milk as your only differentiator for everybody, because after 6 months your competitors will copy and they'll have some fake Hokkaido milk or something and they'll just call it Hokkaido. But what you had there was a differentiator which no one else had that people like the taste of. And 6 months later there might be something else. I don't know, it might be Indian spice. So it might be, I don't know, a saffron or something.
Yeah.
Or it might be some other flavor, right?
Yes.
Remember when turmeric lattes took off?
Yeah.
And now it's like all matcha teas.
Yeah, matcha is a big deal.
So now might be an amazing matcha flavor right now from Japan, or it might be, I don't know, some other thing from some other country. But what you had, this symptom was you had Hokkaido milk, which helped you get a line out the door. But what you actually had was the ability to innovate and do something different. Have you done that since? Have you had follow-on flavors that people have really lined up for?
Yeah, and we do that through product engineering. So we have established a cake business. We have introduced new crepes, different flavors. We introduced one of the flavors we made, Dubai chocolate, had a gold medal at the Easter show. And we created another flavor called Wild Blackberry, which actually won the championship last year. This is going up against the big names you mentioned. So, our product is not bad, but I think that's the bit that I need to work on, is be able to tell the story, because we've went up against some of the industry names that you have mentioned in this.
So you think your product is probably as good, if not better, than those guys?
I believe so, but I'm not telling the story enough. Yeah.
But then, so what am I missing then? Because if you're saying your product's as good or if not better, like you're winning these awards, why is there not a line out your door? Because I don't think it's the story thing. Because I think the story makes sense from an owner's perspective, but from a consumer's perspective, at least of my segment, which is a dad with kids, half of it's probably convenience. Well, actually, 90% when I'm with the kids, it's convenience. Whatever store is closest, minimize how much crying happens. When I'm by myself, it's whatever store tastes the best. So how come there isn't a line out the door then?
We have a line. We just don't have it as often as
because you want to stand a 20-minute wait, right? You want to stand a 20-minute wait where you have so many customers coming through.
I've never been a fan of queues. I would not join a queue. I'm not a hype.
Australians love a good queue.
They love a good queue.
We love a good line.
But I'm not one of them. I'm more around the efficiency. How can we serve the customers so that they
assume you're super efficient, but just assume the number of people coming through are so great that they have to wait and there's a line. Like, don't create an artificial line. But how do you get that much throughput through? So you're getting that much more revenue through your door.
More than you can.
More than you can serve. Like you want to be able to be like, oh, so we've run out of ice cream today. You want to put a no ice cream sold out sign up front.
I find that quite hard. Yes.
Yeah. How do you do that? Because I think that's the thing to solve. If you think the product's fine.
Yeah, I think the reason why, like, a dad with 2 kids is perhaps not thinking about my store when they're coming, when they're thinking of ice cream, is because I'm not telling the story. I don't think.
Explain to me, what do you mean by the story?
Yeah, look, these guys, thank you. They are new to the business. They made ice cream, and within 3 years they've got a championship. Let's support them. That's that sort of story. Yeah.
Maybe I'm just not the segment for that. My segment is whatever tastes good. It's good.
Actually, but
the price is the same, so whatever tastes good.
I think again, taste good is subjective.
Everyone's got a
very
taste palate,
right? So, and So something that doesn't taste good for you could taste really good for someone. And to your point, we cannot be everything
But
for every.
across a dozen flavors, someone's gonna like something, right? I like with my kids, it's chocolate or vanilla,
Yeah.
and sometimes it's rainbow.
And that's the flavors that your kids are looking for.
Mm.
So if you were to go to a shop that has no chocolate, vanilla, or strawberry, you will not be buying from them.
But then when I go to the Messina, they've got their double chocolate fudge, which the kids love, or whatever fancy strawberry they have, whatever fancy vanilla they have.
I think you're making the decisions for them, going like this is yeah.
No, so they pick
Yeah.
it just based on color, actually, whatever color they like right now. So my daughter loves purple, so everything she wants is purple.
And
So if there's a purple
yeah.
ice cream, she'll have that.
So, and that's the beauty of ice cream. It's really colorful. It stands out.
Yeah.
And people eat with their eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So going back to the problem, so how do we get that line out your door? Is it the store? You reckon that's it?
The line out the door. I think so. I still believe that we need to be able to be clear about our identity and who we are and what we stand for. Yeah.
I just wonder whether you're intellectualizing an actual and an emotional and physical decision. Because the physical decisions, I want something that feels good.
Yeah.
And whether the story is you're over intellectualizing it.
Yeah.
And whether customers would care or not.
Yes, I think in business you need to have clear identity. You need to have a story. And if you're drawing a line, people ask you what's so great about it, because the story exists.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in ice cream, I think especially in this current climate where people are more careful with their dollar, and wanting to make sure they support who they want, that story matters a lot.
Yes. I want to believe you.
Yes.
I mean, you just run the experiment, right? Try this, and then see what happens.
Yeah, there are many businesses. If you take ice cream aside, there's a lot of business that do well. That sustain itself and have longevity because of the story.
I mean, the one I'd say is probably Sombrero. So whenever I see that, I'll always eat a Sombrero first.
Yes.
Because I know every meal I buy, they donate one, and that's super nice.
Yes.
But that's the only one.
Yeah.
That I personally buy, and maybe I'm not your standard segment.
Yeah. Yeah, perhaps you're not the sort of buyer
The standard buyer.
that we are chasing after.
Yeah. Well, I am a consumer of ice cream, right? I've got kids. However, anyone who has kids, they consume a hell of a lot of ice cream within shopping centers and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. And how come we haven't done the story already? How come that hasn't been done?
Yeah.
Is it a new idea, or?
I think we're sort of working on that for a while now. This identity. Yeah. And I think it's a bit of how you described it before. We're trying to be something for everybody, because we haven't quite found who we want to represent. Yeah.
Yeah. If I was to make a prediction, what will happen? You'll get this story out, and you'll have whatever signage you want, and you'll have whatever messaging on whatever platforms you want.
Yes.
I don't think that's going to move the dial.
What do you think will move the dial?
I don't know. If I knew, I'd just tell you, right?
Exactly.
If I knew, I'd just tell you.
And if I knew, I would be.
Yeah, you would have sort of.
That's right. So I think what we do in business is we learn from other successful business. And if you think about the successful ice cream brand, they have something that people recognize. In your case, you mentioned Messina. Messina has a story. They own their own cars. You might not be aware of that, but you think it's good because they own their cars. So that is something that has ingrained in you without you recalling the story. There was a connection made somewhere many years ago, and you always remember that they were good because of that reason. We need to establish that connection with our customers more, so that they remember us when they think about it.
Maybe I'm just not sophisticated enough. For me, the reason I go to Messina is not because of that. It's because when you buy cakes, like we almost always buy from there, they've got amazing cakes. A bit more pricey these days, but they're amazing cakes.
And customers are creatures of habits too, because if you had a good memory.
I've been there 5 times. I'm used to it. I know where to shop.
For cake businesses, we have so many repeat business because
they had it last time. They
had it, and they like it. They had a good time. There's no reason why you need to try something else. You don't want to. What I'm trying to do here is trying to be different, right? I don't want. I'm not looking for customers who come in for a scoop of ice cream and buy a cake. I'm looking for customers who come in to buy a cake and then get a scoop of ice cream because they really like that experience they had with the cake. So it's important to me that people celebrate occasions and they have good memories. And when they walk past, they go, I really had a good time with the cake. Let's go get a scoop of ice cream from them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you do this story thing and it works amazing, if it doesn't, what would be the next couple of things you'd try?
So the story thing involves, first of all, landing on an identity.
Yeah, you got to figure it out first.
Figure that out.
I'm sure you can
I think
AI
it's a
it
lot
these
more.
days.
Well, if that doesn't work and we reach that point where
Yeah, but what would
risk
be
good
plan
story,
B, C, D? Like, what other things would you try?
yeah. Probably a different location with somewhere.
There's so much density there now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I might have to try my story at somewhere else.
That's actually a good point, actually. If I think about the shops I go to, there's not many other ice cream shops around there.
Yeah,
Like at Riviera, there's only one there.
there's only one there.
Messina, there's never any other ice cream shops around there.
It's quite unique.
Howard Moon, there's never any ice cream shops there.
No.
I've got a family friend who opened up a dentist in Chatswood.
Yeah.
They closed up within like 2 years, but there's more dentists in Chatswood than anywhere else in Sydney. There's like 23 dentists in that little area.
Exactly. Yeah.
And no matter how good they were never going to be up.
So sometimes it's the vibe of the place, isn't it? It's the nature of the the location. Yeah, that's probably what I would do. Yeah.
Well, the upside is you've got a lot of foot traffic, so maybe there's enough to make everybody a bit happy. But if you found another place, a lot of foot traffic, and your product was great, and people were happy to drive to you, maybe your rent would be a bit cheaper anyway, so your cost base is lower.
Yeah, yeah, but I think we that diverting from the topic of profitability though, because we've tied profitability to quality so far.
We've tied profitability to revenue. I've in my mind tied revenue to quality. If the product is good, people will buy more. That's what I've seen.
Yeah, but I disagree with that because I think profitability, you could have a lot of revenue as well. You could have a top quality product. And I go back to the analogy that I use with chefs. You have Michelin style chefs, top quality product, queues out the door, shut within 12 months. And it's not about the quality and it's not about the revenue. You have to manage the business.
But I've kind of just assumed that you've done that really well. You've run this for 14 years. So I've just kind of in my mind given you a tick, yes, that.
Nothing compared to business that been running for longer. And the reality of business is it's constantly evolving.
There's always something new, right?
So it's something, I have to learn, a new skill that I have to learn. Social media is a very new thing. Advertisements used to be printed, used to be on the radio. You could run a promotion and you could get some excitement. People have 12 seconds memory now. And it's always about what popped up just before you want something. That competitive layer is very new, very different. So I mean, just to go back to your point around the revenue and quality, I don't agree that there are examples where there are examples both ways, right? There are examples where someone has done a really top quality product and had queues out the door but shut within 12 months. And we've seen a lot of that. And it comes down to a few things, and I don't know why they shut, but we can assume a few things. But there are also businesses that, don't are not Michelin stars, right? But they meet the brief. They meet the brief and they do just as well, if not better. So it's not always true, in my opinion, that quality drives revenue and as a result drives profitability.
The only caveat I'd say to that is when you've got a fixed price, you've got a product which is kind of seen homogenously.
Yes.
Like ice cream is ice cream. The levers you have to differentiate.
Yeah.
I think quality is the biggest lever. Is it?
No. I will use Thai food, for example. Thai food is everywhere in Sydney where we are, and I'm sure in other cities as well. If you go to Chinatown, Thai food.
Use an example that's a luxury discretionary good.
Well, ice cream is no longer a luxury.
Like bubble tea is like luxury discretionary. People are addicted to caffeine.
No, I think choice is a luxury. I think in retail, choice is the luxury now. You're no longer you don't no longer need to have ice cream after dinner. You could have bubble tea. You could have asahi. You could have frozen yogurt.
You have other things.
That's the luxury because when we were growing up and when Messina was first, you could only have ice cream. So if it was a good ice cream, you would only go for ice cream. But if you think about it, choice is a luxury now. Yeah, not so much the product. It used to be that if you wanted a luxury car, you would buy a European car, right?
So I'll give you a
Yeah.
kind of examples. Lane Cove,
Yeah.
where I live, so just up at the canopy.
Yes.
So we've got a Yochi, we've
Yes.
got a Chat Time.
You have a
We've got
Messina?
is there a Messina there?
Yes.
Oh, there isn't?
Yeah. No, downstairs.
I've never noticed.
Yeah.
Sorry, in Lane Cove?
Yeah.
I've never noticed.
And
You've
it's
got
like
that. You've got the
Yeah.
Gelatissimo. You've
Yeah.
got Asahi place just across the road. I only ever see people lined outside the Yochi.
Yeah.
I've never seen a
And
line
you have a
outside.
classic example.
And the other frozen yogurt store is always empty. I've never seen anyone inside there.
Yeah, Yoshi is a great brand. They've done a great thing with the brand, and lots of respect for them. I would love to understand how they do it too. But the fact that you didn't know there was a Messina in Lenkov is
So where's this Messina?
it is cannot be.
No way.
Yeah. So I think
Yeah, I'm going to Google Maps. I'm going to fact check this afterwards.
Oh, please do.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe they're no longer there, but they were there. I know they were there. I'm aware that the Gelatissimo at Lancome has changed hands many times, right?
Because you hardly see anyone in there. Like you're rare to see someone in there.
Yeah. And the fact that we've been in the same spot for 15 years, I think it just demonstrates that we're able to make it work despite not having a queue, right? And I think as well that you want to be I think maybe in your circle, you would have people who run business and they look to be the top dog in the game.
They look to make the most profit. That's
most profit, right?
Most revenue, most profit. They're the two things people care about. And you can do that with a cheaper quality good, or you can do that with luxury good. I think in my mind, rightly or wrongly, I've just pegged ice cream as a luxury good.
Yeah.
Not as a discretionary, not as a...
Yeah. So if to go back to that point, I think ice cream is no longer the luxury. I think the choice is the luxury. If I have $6, $7, $10, I can go to bubble tea. I can go to Yochi. I can go to Asahi. I could go to ice cream. I can go so many options. Options. Yeah.
How do you decide to do the story first, not change location first? Because again, externally, I'd be like, location might be a
that's a good question. I don't have an answer for that right away.
Because location will cost a lot and be hard, right? And you have to set up a new.
That's right. Yeah.
You have all these hundreds of $1,000s worth of costs you'll have to spend.
Yeah. So there is the fixed capital cost that you have to do. But I also feel that even if you spend that money, you still have the same problem to solve, which is identity. The story. Yeah.
It probably depends how effective the identity thing is. Like you can probably solve that much cheaper identity, right? You go into Claude and tell it to tell you an identity and give you 20 options and pick the one that resonates best with your customer set and works for you.
Yeah. Look, I'm not without options. We have ideas, right? I find that executing it is also the challenge.
Because you have so many things to do, right?
That's correct.
Life is busy.
Life is very busy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you got to make sure you solve the problem you think will have an impact.
Yes.
And that's very hard to figure out what that problem is.
It's hard for small business, I feel. Yeah. And it's hard because, as you can tell from the podcast, I have so many things that I have on my mind, and it's really hard to just focus and make sure that we're on the one thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why, I mean, it's the counterpoint to, 15 years, one location.
Yes.
The counterpoint would be like, how come we don't have 5 locations now?
Yeah, I think it's a very valid question.
And sometimes getting really deep into a business, you just don't have the time, right? You don't have the time to go find that next location, don't have the capital, don't have the mind space.
I think a lot of our growth is by chance as opposed to by strategy. I would say that when we first started the shop,
why is that though? I mean, you're a clever guy, you work very hard. Why is it by chance, not by strategy?
Why? It's a good question. Yeah, I don't know. You know me for many years. What do you think?
I think this is your question to answer.
No,
because I'll say, like, you're a clever guy.
Yeah.
Obviously very confident, very smart. Why is it that your success has been based on chance, not strategy? Or some success has?
Why? It worked really well for me for many parts of my life.
When you're lucky, you're fine.
Yeah,
when lady luck shines on you, you're fine.
My red underwears, that's why.
So that might be something to figure out.
Yeah.
So what could be happening is you're either picking the wrong strategy,
Yes.
or you're not very good at executing the strategy.
Yes.
You've got the best idea, but you don't follow through with it because you're too busy, or you just have bad ideas you follow through with.
Yeah.
It's one of those two,
One
probably.
of the two. Okay. So just to recap, it was
You got great ideas you did nothing about,
no execution.
or you got horrible ideas and you execute them.
Just executing the bad ideas.
Could it be one of those two?
Ask me in 6 months.
I think what we should do, run this story idea, and then why don't we regroup in 6 months' time?
Yeah. And
See,
I don't know.
but I think that's the actual thing to solve within you building your competence to run your business.
Yes.
Like all this profitability stuff, all the quality stuff is secondary.
Yes.
But if your success has been chance based,
Yes.
that's very fickle.
It-
Because
it
luck
leaves-
goes
yeah.
all different ways, right?
Yes.
And that's why some people will, I don't know, in sales, for example, they'll be great at one company,
Yes.
but they'll have failure after failure after failure.
Yes.
So that first company had a great product, it
Yes.
had a great
And
market,
they were lucky. Thanks.
and
Yeah.
they weren't able to replicate their success.
And at the same time, we have seen successful people with one, but not able to replicate. You know, the one hit wonders.
Well, I think they're doing exactly what you said, where they got lucky,
Yeah.
but then they didn't have the skills to do that again and again and again.
Yes.
When they're the right place. So when if you're in Salesforce, sales 10 years ago, oh my God, you would have just guaranteed to do well.
Yeah.
Salesforce today, you're probably not going to do.
But yes, so using the Salesforce example, so the story was right. That's because people wanted it, right? The sales guys, but just execution.
Well, people want it because there weren't many competitors.
Correct.
They were the first to market. Everybody loved the idea.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. And then it's the same with Jira and the Atlassian products, right? Is that they were first to market. They
right place,
good
right
story, right price, right time. Yeah.
But I think they succeeded because they had the right strategy, not because of chance. The Salesforce guys saw something. The Atlassian guys saw something.
And those were the bosses, the founders. They had that story right, and they had the timing right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'd say they had the strategy right.
They had the strategy.
And the strategy of which is part timing, probably less chancy.
Yes.
So that might be something just to contemplate as to how do you fix that?
Yeah.
Because that's actually the higher order thing to fix. So this might not be your last business, right? You might have more businesses, or this might expand to something else. You might exit this and do something else. You don't want your next business to succeed by chance and not by actual strategy.
By extra strategy, yeah. I think that's a really good point.
So I think about that, right? And think about like, what is it? Is that, do I have bad ideas, or am I not following through?
That's a really good point.
I don't know which one it is.
Having to reflect at dinner.
Ask the wife. Ask the wife. I think I have bad ideas.
I already know the answer.
Because it's hard pivoting from a tech career to a business career because it's completely different, right?
No, actually, I didn't find it hard at all. I had the right motivation. I had the right reasons. At least I felt I did.
Well, I'll rephrase. It's hard to translate the success you had in tech to the same level of success in a different thing like business.
I would say
because there's different skills you need. There's overlap, but there's different skills.
Yeah. So I found that in some parts of the business, and not all of them, you're right. I have my difficulties, right? But there are also other parts of the business, and we're focusing a lot on retail here as an example. But there are other parts of my business that are doing really well. And sometimes it's about trying to revive something that you're passionate about, or focusing on something that actually is doing well, and that's a priority bin. You can throw good money after bad ideas, right? Or you can continue
whatever's working, invest
momentum.
Yeah. Depends what's more important to you, the passion or the cash.
Yeah.
I know we're Asian, it's cash.
Yeah.
Passion comes after you make your money.
Yes.
But you might need the retail store for the branding and for foot traffic and that kind of stuff anyway. But maybe you just accept that won't make money right now. But I've got to make money off the wholesale,
a chief risk officer of a really big company told me the same thing. Like, it's perspective, right? If you look things in isolation, you might be disappointed about certain things, about your decisions. But if you look at things holistically, the shock could be a marketing. Because when a wholesale customer comes to me and go, well, what sort of retail experience you've got? I go, well, this is what we do.
And then if that's the case, you'll have a different mindset about your shop. You'll set it up differently. You'll have different signage. You won't be worried about people not making a lot of money off it. If you're not wholesaling crepes, you wouldn't do crepes in your shop.
Yes.
Whatever you're wholesaling, that's just the stuff you're selling in your shop.
Yeah.
You'll have a full waffle cone section, right?
Yeah.
20 different types of waffle cones because you're selling waffle cones.
Yeah. That's a really good idea. Choose your waffle cones.
That's right. When I was in Brizzy, went to an ice cream store. South Bank.
Yeah.
They had like 7 different types of waffle cones.
Yeah.
And the kids loved it. They
Yeah.
picked the chocolate, hundreds of thousands of waffle cones.
Okay.
Paid an extra $3 for it.
Yes. Yeah.
And they got a scoop of ice cream in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Why don't we start wrapping up? So the problem we had was all around profitability. Where do you think we ended at? Was that the right question to ask? How do I solve profitability?
Well, I started with profitability because of what's going on in the world right now.
It's very top of mind.
Topical. Yeah. It's topical point, but I think we've gone under the covers a bit more and had some more depth in that topic.
So what is the right problem to solve, do you think, after our discussion?
I think it's really just, I think it's about priorities, right? And mindset. I think that's the two things.
Say, what would you say the problem to solve?
Priorities. Yeah, priorities. Where do you and that drives that has an impact on profitability as well, because you can't invest in 100 ideas or 10 ideas. Sometimes you could do one, which means that you have to choose. Right? And mindset, how you look at things. So if there's no line out of my door, does that mean I'm doing poorly? Am I going backwards? Or my mindset is like to sell more cakes, and you don't need a queue for cakes.
If you had a queue for cakes, that'd be amazing. Well, can I suggest maybe it's not that? Maybe the problem to solve is, how do you, as a business owner, develop the skills you need to really run a business?
Yeah, and I think that's.
And the strategy chance, we kind of joke about that, but that's an example, right? That's a proper competence you need on how to build a strategy that's likely to succeed.
Yeah.
Because if you have a 50-50 chance strategy, that will fail half the time, and the chance will take over.
Yes.
So you want like an 80-90% strategy that will probably almost always work unless something goes wrong.
Yeah. And I think.
So maybe that's it. Like, what's the competence? How do I build those competencies?
Yeah.
And it's a non-trivial problem to solve.
No, non-trivial.
Because it's not a solved problem. People are still figuring out how to do this stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool. And could you solve that with are we wrapping up?
Yeah. Keep asking.
Like, do we solve that with a team? Like, you obviously don't have all competency, and wouldn't you then hire people to help you solve that augment that?
You can, but the problem with hiring a team at your size is you'll have a huge cost burden. And people that have solved these really complex things are actually going to be super expensive.
Yes.
Like, you're not going to pay, I don't know, Messina ex-CEO $500,000 to come work with you, right? That wouldn't make any sense.
He wouldn't want to do that.
He wouldn't want to anyway, right? You'd have to give him your entire business to get one day with him. So I think team comes afterwards. I think it's more about, how do you build those competencies? Yeah. How do you understand the mechanics of running a business? In the same way, when you started, the software career, you spent 4 years at university learning how to become an engineer, right? And what are the different steps and how it works, and what part you're really good at and what part you need to go copy from someone else because you never understood that. I think it's the same, but in business. That it's not a thing that you can accidentally stumble into and learn how to do. That it's a proper profession with proper skills, proper competencies, and you need to think, how do I build that? So then the question is, how do you build that, right?
Yeah.
Because the problem is similar to what I do, which I work with CEOs, is most people that succeed in this area don't bother teaching. Like, if you call the Messina guy and be like, I don't have time for you, right?
Yeah.
Because he's got his own business, or he might be worth hundreds of $1 million, whatever he is, he won't want to spend time with you. So you want to think, how do I get people to spend time with me? Because I think the only way you learn this is, so I'll take a step back. So there's 2 types of careers in the world, right? One where you can study and be good at, one you have to experience, you'll be good at. So being a developer, you just have to study.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't understand foundational data models or how to code or assembly or machine learning, you'll never be great. You want to be a lawyer, you just have to study. Like, you can't vibe your way through that. And another set of careers like sales, where it's less about the study, it's all about having thousands of interactions with other people and learning how to communicate with people, influence people, get what you want out of them, understand their problems, which is completely different. It's a binary, complete dichotomy to the other first set. So what you're trying to do here now is in the second set. There is no book you can go read on how to run a small business that will actually make a meaningful impact. So I think you just need to find people to actually work with, mentor you, groups, those kind of things, where you bounce ideas off them. And if you make that a really, really conscious effort to learn, as you would have made a conscious effort to learn engineering, I think that's what might get you success. Because the worst tragedy would be, in another 15 years, we sit here, you've got the one store and you're sort of struggling with profitability. But that would be the worst outcome in the entire world.
Yeah.
But that is the default outcome.
Yeah.
If you learned nothing new, that would be what would happen. And that would suck.
Yeah. Well, I hope not to be working in 15 years.
No, I hope not either. Perfect. Well, what's your big takeaways from today then?
Oh, really? It's the biggest takeaway is the reflection that I had to do to answer your questions. That was really cool. I came with the impression that you wanted me to solve a problem, but I realized that I had to solve my problem.
I think they've got a Buddhist. Are you Buddhist or what?
Yeah.
So they've got a Buddhist saying. I think Dalai Lama said or something. As you change from within, the
Yeah.
world outside changes.
Yes. Yeah.
So if you get good at this, every other one of your problem will be solved.
Will be solved. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Perfect. Last thing that we always do when we wrap up, what's something that you've always known to be true,
Yeah.
then later on you found out actually wasn't? Question we ask all our guests.
Something I found out
You've always known to be true that later on you
not
found out
very
wasn't.
true, then found out it wasn't. I always thought you had to be good looking to get a girl.
And you prove that's not very true.
That you just have to listen in a relationship.
Yeah, that's some goal. That's some goal. Teach your boys that. Well, you boys are probably beautiful. They took after their mum, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Hey, perfect. Thanks very much. Thanks, guys, for watching.
All right.
Bye-bye. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. If you do want to be a guest, make sure you hit me up and do follow me on socials and make sure you check out future episodes. Thanks, guys.